Dear learners, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about stresses in soil. So that is total stress, effective stress and neutral stress, and how to calculate those stresses. So these are the topics which we are going to cover in this lecture. So first of all, let's start with total stress. In any plane in the soil mass, the total pressure or the total stress is due to the self weight of the soil or the overburden load in the soil. So as you can see in the figure, there is a soil section shown to you here. Suppose there is a house built over here. So if we choose a plane, suppose here in the soil, so this plane will experience some pressure or stress, and that pressure could be due to two reasons. One is due to the overburden pressure, or that is pressure due to the structures over the soil, and second is due to the self weight of the soil. Okay, now this total pressure here can be of two types. One is the intergranular pressure, or it is called effective pressure, and second is the neutral pressure or the pore water pressure. Now let's learn one by one what is effective pressure and how to calculate that, and what is pore water pressure and how to calculate that. We'll be learning these two things now. Now, what is intergranular pressure or effective pressure? See, here in the figure I have shown you the structure of a soil, a little bit of soil mass which is very zoomed up. Okay, so these, whatever you can see, are the soil particles or the soil grains, and the blue color is the water in the soil. That is the pore water, you can say, or the groundwater in the soil. Now let's learn what is effective pressure. So you can see that the soil particles are in contact. The particles of the soil are in contact. So this grain will transmit a pressure in this grain, and this grain will again transmit a pressure in this grain. Whenever the soil is in contact, there will be the pressure exerted by the soil grains on each other. You can see I'm marking these. Whenever the soil is in contact, there will be a transmission of the pressure in that particular point. So this sort of pressure which the soil particles transmit to each other whenever in contact is known as effective pressure. Now, effective pressure is the pressure transmitted from the particle through the point of contact. That is the definition of effective pressure. This is the effective pressure. So effectively, whatever is the area of contact, and the force divided by the area of contact will give you the effective pressure. It is also termed as intergranular pressure. It is called intergranular pressure or effective pressure. And why is it called intergranular pressure? Because it takes part in the grain to grain. Okay, whenever the grains of the soil are in contact, they exert pressure on each other, and therefore it is called intergranular pressure. Now, why is it called effective pressure? It is effective in decreasing the void ratio. So whenever such forces, such pressure acts on from one particle to another, what happens? There is a decrease in the void ratio. They help in mobilizing these grains. So suppose this pressure will try, suppose this force or the pressure will try to move this particle to the left or right side. Let's suppose this will try to move the particle to the left side. So the particles will get displaced, and due to that displacement, what happens? The void ratio gets decreased, and that is why it affects the void ratio. Okay, now since it affects the void ratio, it is effective in decreasing the void ratio in the soil mass, and increases the shear strength of the soil. It is called effective pressure. Okay, now let's move ahead and let's understand what is pore water pressure. It is called the neutral pressure. So let's understand this pore water pressure through this diagram only. Okay, so let me rub this a little bit, and now we are understanding about the pore water pressure. So there is water available outside the soil grains, right? And that water exerts pressure in the soil grains from all directions. From all directions, it exerts pressure on the soil grains. And that pressure which is exerted by the water on the soil grains, and it is from all directions, it is known as the pore water pressure. So basically, pore water pressure is the pressure exerted by the groundwater in the soil mass, okay, or the soil grains. So such pressure is called pore water pressure. Now, the neutral pressure or the pore pressure, it is also called the neutral pressure or the pore water pressure, is pressure transmitted through the pore fluid. So whenever there is a pore in the soil, so let's suppose, let's draw some soil grains here. These are the soil grains, and whatever is the pressure exerted by the water in the soil grains, it is known as the pore water pressure. And why is it called the neutral pressure? This pore water pressure is called the neutral pressure because it has no role in decreasing the void ratio of the soil. It applies to the soil grains from all directions and hence it neutralizes its effect. So there is no net force available due to this force, right? This pressure is equal to the water load per unit area above the plane. So suppose at this level we want to calculate what is the pore water pressure, and this is the groundwater table. This is the groundwater table. So what we will do, we will just insert a piezometer over here and we will check what is the level of the water in the piezometer. So if this is the level of water in the piezometer or the liquid column, you can say, then the pressure at the pore water pressure at this level is equals to gamma W, that is the weight of the unit weight of water into the height of the water column. This is height W. Height W means height of the water. This will give you the pore water pressure. Now, the third point is the pore pressure does not have any measurable influence on the void ratio or any other mechanical property of the soil. Therefore, it is called neutral pressure. Now, the total pressure or the total stress in the soil is denoted by sigma. Okay. Now, this sigma consists of two parts. Sigma dashed, it is called the effective stress, and pore water pressure, it is denoted by U. So you can say the total pressure is the summation of effective pressure plus the pore water pressure. Equation is very important. The total pressure in the soil is the summation of effective pressure and the pore water pressure. You can easily calculate the total pressure in the soil. That is, it is equals to the sum of self weight of the soil and the overburden load. You can calculate this, and pore water pressure can also be calculated using the piezometer. Okay, you can insert the piezometer, check the what is the height and of the liquid, and whatever will be the height of the liquid column, we multiply it with the unit weight of the fluid, and that will give you the pore water pressure. Now, once you know all these things, you can calculate the effective stress using the total stress and the pore water pressure. So now let's learn how to calculate the effective stress due to the different conditions of the soil. So the first condition of the soil is the submerged soil mass, and this is going to be really very important. Okay, so submerged soil mass is the soil mass under the groundwater table, or it is completely submerged in water. Submerged, there's a difference between the submerged soil mass and the saturated soil mass. Okay, I'll tell you the difference. Submerged soil mass is also fully saturated, but all saturated is not fully submerged. So submerged soil is fully saturated, okay, but saturated soil is not necessary, that it is submerged. Okay, now let's understand what is the difference between the two. In the submerged soil, the force of buoyancy takes place, the buoyancy effect takes place, right? So this is the submerged soil because it has a water level above it, and all the soil is dipped in water. So the soil grains are experiencing the uh, force of buoyancy. But in saturated soil, it is, though fully saturated, all the void space is filled with water, but it is not in submerged situation. It will not experience any force of buoyancy, and that is the major difference between the submerged soil and the saturated soil, because students initially find it very difficult how to calculate the effective force, effective pressure in the soil, when it is in submerged condition and when it is in saturated condition. So first of all, we should know that there's a difference between the two, submerged soil and saturated soil. So you can imagine there is a piece of cloth, and if you just put it inside the bucket of water, it will be in a submerged condition and it will experience a force of buoyancy. But if you just take out that piece of cloth from the water bucket and just rinse it properly, still it will have all the water present in it. All the voids will be filled with water. It will be completely saturated in condition, but there will be no force of buoyancy acting on it. Okay, then a piece of cloth will be called saturated but not submerged. I hope that is clear to you. Now let's start calculating effective stress. Now, we know that total stress in the soil is equals to effective stress plus the pore water pressure. So, what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the total stress in the soil. Then we have to calculate what is the pore water pressure. So, you see that there is a water in the soil mass up to a height of Z1. So this water column will exert a pressure in this layer. We are calculating the pressure in this layer, okay, AA. Let's take it AA. So at this, the water is exerting a pressure, and that pressure will be equals to Z1 into gamma W. Okay, the water pressure will be Z1 plus gamma into gamma W. Now let the unit weight of soil be gamma. That is the unit weight of soil, density of soil. Okay. Now this soil is having a height of Z, right? So the total pressure will be due to the water plus the height of the soil into gamma of the soil. Okay, this is the height of the soil column into the density of the soil column. This will give you the total pressure. This is total pressure. Now let's calculate the pore water pressure. The pore water pressure at this level AA. How to calculate this? We have inserted the piezometer over here. A piezometer is the pipe just inserted at the level, and we will check what is the level of water. Okay, what is the level of water? Whatever is the height of water, if you multiply it with the density of water or the unit weight of water, you will get what is the pore water pressure. Okay, so let's take this height. This height is how much? It is Z1 plus Z, right? So Z1 plus Z will give you the total height of water into gamma W will give you the pore water pressure, pore pressure. Now we have to calculate the effective stress or the effective pressure. So effective pressure is equals to total pressure minus the pore water pressure. If we do this, we can get the effective stress. So that is Z1 into gamma W plus Z into gamma minus this Z1 plus Z into gamma W. So what I have done the total pressure minus the pore water pressure. So that will give you Z1 into gamma W plus Z into gamma, that is the unit weight of the soil, minus Z1 gamma W and minus Z gamma W. So this you see here Z1 gamma W and Z1 gamma W will be gone, and you will be left with Z into gamma minus gamma W. Now you see that submerged unit weight of the soil is equals to saturated unit weight minus the unit weight of water. This we have learned long before. What is the submerged unit weight? We have learned this in the unit weight of the soil topic. If someone is having any confusion, kindly go through that topic first. Unit weight of the soil, you will find it in the playlist. Okay, so submerged unit weight of the soil is equals to the saturated unit weight of the soil minus gamma W. Okay, this will give you the submerged unit weight of the soil. That is what we are getting here, the saturated unit weight of the soil minus gamma W, and that will give you the submerged unit weight of the soil. Submerged unit weight of the soil into Z. That is the effective pressure at this point. I hope you understood this very well. Now, if someone is having any doubt regarding how this height into gamma will give you stress at any point, for them, I'm going to quickly tell you why we multiply height with the unit weight of anything, okay, to calculate stress. Because height into anything will, how it will give you stress. So for them, I'm just going to quickly calculate. So let's suppose there is a cylinder, and this cylinder is having a unit weight of, that is density into g of gamma. This is the unit weight, okay, of the material, whatever. We, first of all, we are calculating what is the effective stress here, what is the stress here, okay. So not the effective stress, what is the stress over here in this plane. So for calculating the stress, we must calculate the force first, right? So force is how much? Force is volume into density into g. This will give you the force, right? So volume, let the area of the cross section be A. This is the area of cross section, okay. So volume will be how much? A into whatever is the height, this will give you the volume. So A into H will give you the volume. Density is, suppose rho is the density, into G will give you, what is gamma? Gamma is rho into G, okay. So this will give you the force. Now what is stress? Stress is force per unit area, right? So it will be A into H into rho G, right, by A. This will give you the stress. So this A and A will be gone, and you will be left with H rho G, or rho G H, rho G H. It is a similar term, rho G H. Now rho G H, and rho G is what? It is the unit weight. So if you can write gamma into H. So when, this is the thing, whenever we have to calculate the stress, we know the unit weight and we know the height from, for which we have to calculate the stress. So if you multiply the unit weight with the height, you will get the stress. So this is what we are doing. This is what we are doing. Z1 into gamma W. This will give you the stress due to the water up till here. Now Z plus gamma W will give you the stress due to the soil, okay. And I hope you learnt this. Now there is one interesting point to be noted over here. You learned that the effective stress is equals to submerged unit weight of the soil into Z, okay. So you see that this liquid column of height Z1 has no role to play here. There is no term of Z1. So effective stress is Z into gamma dashed or gamma submerged, but there is no term of Z1. So whenever the soil is in submerged condition, the height of the water does not matter. Whenever the water is at, whether the water is at this level or this level or this level, it will not affect the effective stress in the soil, and that is a very important concept. So I'll just you can just note it down. Whenever the soil is in submerged condition, the effective stress is independent of the height of the water above the soil. And this is very important. You might be asked these questions in your objective type questions. So let me just write it down. What we understood here is, whenever the soil is in submerged condition, the effective stress in the soil remains unchanged and does not depend on the height of the water above the soil, okay. So whenever the soil is in submerged condition, the effective stress remains unchanged and it does not depend on the height of the water above the soil. So whether the height is Z1 or more than that, it, the effective weight of the soil remains unchanged, and that is one of the important concept which you will get in the objective type questions n number of times, okay. Now let's move ahead. There is another important aspect of this I want to teach you how to draw the stress diagram. So for stress diagram, let me first draw a line. So we are going to calculate the draw the stress diagram for this soil mass. Now you see that total stress is what? Total stress is Z1 into gamma W plus Z into gamma. Now you see that we are going to first draw about the total stress. So this is the total stress. So total stress is how much? Z1 into gamma W plus Z into gamma of the soil, right? So you see the first term first. Z1 into gamma W, it all depends on the height Z1 and not gamma W, because gamma W is a constant. Now we are moving from height 0 to a depth of Z1, right? We are moving from height 0 to Z1. So whenever the height is 0, in place of Z1, if we put 0, this will become 0. And if in place of Z1, as the Z1 keeps on increasing, this stress is also increasing, right? Up till Z1, and it becomes equal to, let me write it like this, equals to gamma W into Z1. So you see here, from 0 till Z1 it is increasing and linearly, and it becomes equal to, this is gamma W into Z1 right here. Okay, now this pressure will continue up till the bottom. This pressure will not change and will continue up till the bottom, because this will apply, this weight is applying pressure up till here. Now from this Z1, this point Z1, the pressure is increasing by how much? Gamma into Z. Okay, if we, now we are considering from Z1 to Z. Okay, now when this value of Z is 0, when is this 0? The value of this Z is 0 at this point. This value of Z is 0 at this point. At this point there will be no pressure due to the soil, but as we go down, the pressure due to the soil mass will also increase. The pressure due to the soil mass will increase, and what will it become? It will be something like this. Let's suppose gamma is greater than gamma W. This means gamma is greater than gamma W. That is, the unit weight of soil is greater than the unit weight of water. So this yellow line over here will represent gamma into Z. This will represent gamma into Z. And this is what? This white line is what? It is gamma W into Z1. Now this here the total pressure will be how much? The total pressure will be gamma W into Z1 plus gamma W into Z. This is the total pressure. Total stress is gamma W into Z1 plus gamma into Z. This will give you the total stress in the soil. So total stress in the soil at this point. This is the stress diagram. Now let's see what is the pore water pressure. Pore water pressure, I told you, it is Z1 plus Z into gamma W. Okay, so Z1 plus Z into gamma W. This is the total stress. This is the total stress. Okay, now let's calculate the pore water pressure. Now the pore water pressure U is equals to Z plus Z1 into gamma W. That means the total height of the water in the piezometer, total height of the water in the piezometer into gamma W. That is the unit weight of water. So you can see here, as the depth is increasing, the pore water pressure is increasing. The pore water pressure is 0 on the top, that is, it is atmospheric on the top, and it at this level at the bottom it is Z plus Z1 into gamma W. Now let's draw the pressure diagram for the pore water pressure. So it will increase linearly, right? Z plus Z1 into gamma W. So at the topmost level it is 0, and as the depth goes on increasing, the pore water pressure also goes on increasing, and it becomes equals to Z plus Z1 at the bottom, right? So let me write it down here. Z plus Z1 into gamma W. That is the total depth, because the water is acting on the total depth, entire depth, right? Now we know that total stress is equals to effective stress plus the pore water pressure, right? So total stress is equals to the pore water pressure plus the effective stress, or if we want to find out what is the effective stress, here you can see the total stress is the summation of effective stress and the pore water pressure. Now if we want to find out what is effective stress, we have to subtract the pore water pressure from the total stress, right? So let's draw the effective stress diagram. For that, you see here the pore water pressure at this level is Z1 into gamma W, right? And here it is Z1 into gamma W. This level it is same. So now let's subtract pore water pressure from the total stress diagram, so that we can get the what is effective stress. So this is the diagram for pore water pressure, this is for total stress, and now we are going to draw the diagram for effective stress. Okay, effective stress diagram. So first of all, from total stress we are subtracting the pore water pressure. That means this Z1 gamma W and this Z1 gamma W will be subtracted, and you see this and this are identical. So if you subtract these two, it will become 0. At each point it will become 0. Now we are subtracting Z1 gamma W plus gamma WZ minus Z plus Z1 gamma W. We are doing this gamma W into Z1 plus gamma into Z. I mean this term, this is the total stress minus the pore water pressure. Pore water pressure is Z plus Z1 gamma W, right? So Z1 gamma W minus Z gamma W. I hope this is clear to you. So what we are doing, if we subtract these two terms will get cancelled out, and we'll be left with gamma into Z minus gamma W into Z. So that will become gamma minus gamma W into Z. The pressure will be at bottom, the pressure will be gamma minus gamma W into Z. This will give you the pressure at the bottom, and this is increasing linearly with respect to Z, right? This is increasing linearly with respect to Z because these terms are constant. So when the Z is 0, the pressure at that point is 0, right? So the pressure diagram will be something like this. It starts from 0 here and becomes equals to gamma minus gamma W into Z, and that gamma minus gamma W is what? Gamma submerged into Z. So the pressure over here is gamma submerged into Z, and this is the effective pressure diagram. I hope you understood this. This is very important. So whenever you have to find out the pressure diagram or the effective pressure, you can say, whenever you have to calculate the effective pressure in a soil which is in submerged condition, there are two ways. You can calculate the total pressure, you can calculate then the effective the pore water pressure, and then subtract these two and find out what is the effective pressure. This is one method, number one. Or you can directly find out what is the submerged unit weight of the soil and multiply it with the height, and you'll get the effective pressure. Then you don't have to do the subtractions and everything. Okay, so this is a far much better idea. Whenever the soil is in submerged condition, the effective stress is equals to the submerged unit weight of the soil into the depth. This will directly give you what is the effective stress without finding out the total stress and then finding out the pore water pressure. Now let's move ahead with second case. In this second case, the soil is with surcharge. What do you mean by surcharge? Surcharge Q. Surcharge Q is the external load acting on the soil, and this load can be due to the structures above the soil, right? So this load is Q. Now let's draw the diagram for this, and let's understand how to calculate the effective stress for this. Okay, now you see here the soil is saturated condition over here, but it is not submerged, and it is in submerged condition over here. How can you say that it is submerged and it is saturated over here? Because you can see the piezometer. The piezometer here is having the water height of up till this depth. So whenever this means this is the groundwater table. This is the groundwater table, and the soil is submerged below this, and it, though it is saturated above this, but it is not in submerged condition, right? Now we have to find out what is the total stress, what is the effective stress, what is the pore water pressure. So let's try to do that. So total stress will be due to the surcharge Q, okay, plus it will be due to the saturated unit weight of the soil. Let's say it is saturated, gamma saturated of the soil, okay. So gamma saturated of the soil into Z1 up till this depth Z1, this saturated unit weight of the soil is acting, plus then this soil is also saturated, right? This soil is also saturated soil, submerged plus it is saturated, right? So the unit weight of the soil will be again saturated unit weight of the soil up to depth Z1. So this is the total stress acting. Now let's find out what is the pore water pressure U. So pore water pressure, this will act from height this to this. How can you say that? The level of the water in the piezometer, it is up to a depth of Z, okay. So the pore water pressure will act only up to this certain depth. Pore water pressure will be gamma W into Z, right? Only up to this depth. Now effective stress will be what? Effective stress of the soil at this point, we are calculating this at this point A. Effective stress will be total stress minus pore water, okay, pressure. So effective stress will be Q plus gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma saturated into Z minus gamma W into Z, okay. So here you see this is Z and Z, I'll take it common. So it will be Q plus gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma saturated minus gamma W into Z, okay. And here you see it will be equals to Q plus gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma saturated minus gamma W, a familiar term again. So gamma saturated minus gamma W is what? It is gamma submerged plus gamma submerged into Z. So this is the effective stress, okay. This is the effective stress which is acting. So Q, this will contribute to the effective stress, saturated unit weight of the soil, and whenever the soil is in submerged condition, then submerged unit weight of the soil. And then you don't need to find out what is saturated, what is gamma W. Whenever you see the soil in submerged condition, you just put the submerged unit weight of the soil and multiply it with the depth, okay. Now let's draw the diagram for this one, for total stress, for pore water pressure, and then effective stress. So for total stress, let's draw the diagram. Now you see, so the total stress is having a component of this Q. So this, whatever is the surcharge, it remains constant up till this Z, depth Z, because Q is independent of the height, right? You see there is no term of height or Z or Z1 at this term. In this term there is no term like Z and Z1. So this means Q is independent of the height and it remains constant. So we have to draw a constant line for that. So let's do that. So this is the surcharge Q and it remains constant. This is Q, okay. So this is Q and it remains constant. Now this is the saturated weight of the soil. So this saturated weight of the soil, here if I simplify this, it is Z plus Z1 into gamma saturated, Z plus Z1 into gamma saturated. That means then the saturated unit weight of the soil starts acting. So it starts from here and goes straight linearly with respect to the height of the soil. Let me mark it like this. So here this is part Q, this is Q, and this is how much it is, Z plus Z1 into gamma saturated. This is gamma saturated, okay. So the total, what is the total stress then? Q plus Z plus Z1 gamma saturated. This is the total stress in the soil at this level. This is what is given by this equation. If you want to calculate what is the stress over here, it is Q plus just Z1 into gamma saturated, right? This is the stress diagram, and using the stress diagram you can find out what is the stress at any level. At any level you can make use of the similar triangles, okay, make use of the geometry and find out whatever is the width here will be the stress, okay. So now this is the beauty of that. Now you see what is the pore water pressure. This diagram is for water. This is for pore water pressure. So pore water pressure is how much? Gamma W into Z, right? It is not acting over here because there is no water in the piezometer above the level of Z. So pore water pressure will start at this level. At this level it will start, okay. So the pore water pressure will start at this level, at the level of Z, and it will increase linearly, and it will become gamma W into Z. It will become gamma W into Z, right? This is the pore water pressure. Now, if you subtract these two, what will you get? If you subtract these two units, we'll get effective stress, and that we have calculated earlier. So, total stress minus the pore water pressure will give you the effective stress. So, and that will be equals to Q plus gamma saturated into Z plus gamma submerged into Z. Gamma saturated into Z1, I'm sorry, it is gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma submerged into Z. So let's do that. So the final effective stress will be this total stress minus the pore water pressure, okay. So there is no component of Q getting subtracted, so Q will remain as it is. So this is the value of Q and it will remain as it is here. So effective stress over here at the top will be Q, okay. So this minus this will result in the same diagram. It will be Z1 into gamma saturated, okay. So this is Z1 into gamma saturated over here. Let me write it down like this. This is Z1 into gamma saturated. Now from here we are subtracting, at each level we are subtracting this much amount. So it is whatever it is, gamma W into X. So we are subtracting this, this is gamma saturated into X, I'm sorry. So we are subtracting gamma W into X. So this will result in gamma submerged. We are subtracting. So this slope of this one will get reduced, okay, reduced a little bit. So by now gamma Z1 into gamma saturated will continue to act like this up till this point, and here it will not continue like this. It will not keep on continuing like this because we are subtracting something, right? So the slope will get reduced. There is a reduction in the slope. It should have gone like this if we are drawing gamma saturated, but we are drawing gamma submerged. So we are subtracting the unit weight of water from it. So thus the if we haven't reduced the slope, it would have gone like this, but we are subtracting gamma W from it, so the slope is getting reduced, and this is equals to this particular line. There are three lines, so this is equals to, this line is equals to Q, this is equals to gamma saturated into height Z1. This is Z1, right? Up till Z1, this is gamma saturated into Z1, and this point over here is gamma submerged into Z. So the effective stress is what? It is Q plus gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma submerged into Z, and this is the same expression we are getting here, Q plus gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma submerged into Z. So this is how we draw the stress diagram. Once you learn how to draw the stress diagram, it is very, very easy to understand everything. It will help you in the soil mechanics and it will help you in the fluid mechanics as well. Now let's move on to the last case. This case is of soil where the soil is having a capillary fringe. Now for this soil, let this be point number A, let this be point number B, let this be point number C. For each point, what we are going to do, we are going to calculate the total stress, then pore water pressure, and then the effective stress. Okay, so let's say for point number A, so this is point number A, this is point number B, and this is point number C. And for this, we are going to calculate the total stress. So for the total stress for point A will be, what do you think? There is no surcharge acting above A, and there is no soil above A. So the total stress at point A will be 0. Now at point B, it is the saturated soil and the depth is Z1. So the total stress which is acting at this point is gamma saturated of the soil into height Z1, right? And at point C, this is the point C, what is the total stress acting? It is the saturated weight of the soil, and the height is Z plus Z1, right? This is the total height. So Z plus Z1. This will give you the total stress at point C. Now let's know about the pore water pressure. It is very important to know what is the pore water pressure acting, because you see here there are two types of water here. One is the capillary water and another is the groundwater. And in one of my previous videos, I have told you about the capillarity and the capillary water. Those who don't know about that, kindly go through that video, the link of which I'll be giving you in the description box as well as in the information button. So whenever the soil is having a capillarity action, the pore water pressure is negative. The soil, the water is in tension. So the pore water pressure which will act here will be minus of gamma W into Z1. Okay. The pore water pressure will be 0 at point B, and the pore water pressure will be compressive here, and that is equals to gamma W into Z. Now using this, the total stress is the effective stress is total stress minus the pore water pressure. Let's calculate the effective stress at each point. So the effective stress will be total stress minus the pore water pressure, that is minus of this minus, so it will become plus, and that will be equals to gamma W into Z1. Okay, here at point B, the effective stress will be gamma saturated into Z1, and third is this total stress minus the pore water pressure. So gamma saturated Z plus Z1 minus gamma W into Z. So it will be gamma saturated into Z1 plus gamma saturated into Z minus gamma W into Z will give you gamma submerged into Z. Okay. Now this, I'm manipulating this somewhat, and what I'm doing, this term I'm writing it as gamma saturated into Z1. I'm writing it as gamma submerged into Z1 plus gamma W into Z1. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. Okay, gamma submerged plus gamma W gives gamma saturated. So what I'm doing, I'm just splitting gamma saturated into two parts. One is the submerged part and one is the unit weight of water. Now again, this gamma saturated also I'm splitting into two parts. First is gamma saturated, I can write it as gamma submerged into Z1 plus gamma W into Z1 plus gamma submerged into Z, isn't it? Now let's draw the diagram for this three conditions. Let's do that first. Okay, so first of all, we'll start with total stress. So total stress at point A is 0, at B is gamma saturated into Z1. So total stress at point A, this is point number A, right? This is B and this is C, right? So the total stress at this point is 0. At level of B, what is the total stress? It is gamma saturated into Z1, right? So gamma saturated into Z1, this will come down to point number C, and now this gamma saturated into Z will also act. So this will continue up till this level, up till the level of point C, and there is no change in slope because it is saturated. So this one is gamma saturated into Z1. So this is gamma, this length is gamma same as this one, gamma saturated into Z1, and this one is gamma saturated into Z. So this total will be gamma saturated into Z1 plus Z. This is satisfied. Now in the second part, the pore water pressure is minus gamma W into Z1. Okay, so it is minus gamma W into Z1. It is negative. Here it is 0 and here it is gamma W into Z. Okay, so let's draw the pore water pressure diagram. This, if you are having any confusion, kindly go through my lecture on capillarity. You will understand this much better, the link of which we will get it in the description box. This is gamma W into Z and it is negative, and this is one is positive, and this one is gamma W into Z. It is positive. Now let's draw the effective stress diagram. So how to draw the effective stress diagram? It is very difficult to subtract these because it is increasing, it is decreasing. So it is very difficult to subtract these. Okay. So what I will be doing, the effective stress diagram we will be drawing from here. It is gamma W into Z1. Okay. The stress at this point is gamma W into Z1. So let me draw this. It is gamma W into Z1, and this stress will continue up till the bottom. Okay, this will continue up till the bottom. Why will it continue up till the bottom? Because you see here, because you might wonder that this stress is decreasing, but why is this one constant, right? So see here, this gamma W into Z1 term is here, gamma W into Z1 term is here, and gamma W into Z1 term is here. So at all the 3 points A, B and C, we are getting gamma W into Z1. So what I have done, gamma W into Z1 is constant throughout. So I have just drawn it like this, gamma W into Z1 constant throughout. Now we have already at point B we have already drawn gamma W into Z1. So what extra we have to draw? Gamma submerged into Z1. That is why, this is the reason why I have splitted this gamma saturated in gamma submerged and gamma W, because in order to draw the effective stress diagram. Okay, so gamma W into Z1 we have already drawn. This is gamma W into Z1, right? We have to now draw gamma submerged into Z1. So let's draw gamma submerged into Z1. So it will start with 0 on the top, and at Z1 it will become gamma submerged, right? This is gamma submerged into Z1. So it will continue up till the bottom. Okay, this will continue up till the bottom, gamma submerged into Z1, and at last here at point C, what we have done, at point C we have already drawn gamma W into Z1. We have already drawn gamma submerged into Z1. This is already there, gamma submerged into Z1, and now we have to draw gamma submerged into Z. So now we'll continue this gamma submerged into Z. This length, okay, this length over here, let me mark it in another color. This length over here is gamma W into Z1. This length over here is gamma submerged into Z1. This is gamma submerged into Z1, this level, right? And here it is gamma submerged into Z. So you see here gamma submerged into Z1, gamma W Z1, and gamma submerged Z. So all the three stresses are showing up here, right? Now this is very important. This is very important concept, that whenever a capillary fringe is acting in anywhere in the soil, the stress diagram is like this, And here you can consider that the pore water pressure due to the capillary fringe, that is gamma W into Z1, and this acts as a surcharge. So whatever the stress is acting due to the capillary action, you can consider it as a surcharge and draw the stress diagram. You consider this stress as a surcharge and then you draw the stress diagram, and your stress diagram will be complete and correct every time. So here I want to highlight one thing. It's written that the effect of the capillarity of height Z1, what is it, is analogous to the surcharge Q is equals to Z1 gamma W placed on the saturated soil mass. So if you consider the capillary effect as the surcharge, you can easily draw the stress diagram for this soil. Okay, now I hope this is clear to you. This is one is very important concept, and you will get this concept multiple number of times in your examinations. So understand this very carefully, and we'll be doing many questions based on these concepts. So stay tuned, and if you like the session, do like and share it with your friends. Bye bye, and see you in the next lecture.